Hi, I'm Jay Tyler. In this video, I'm going to show you an easy way to make an anterior wax setup without having to take the teeth off the model. Here's a model I'm going to be making a spring aligner on. I'm going to be cutting off the 4 incisors and setting them up in wax. And this is the design I'm going to be using, and it's a design that doesn't require anatomical detail in this area, which is good because I'm going to be cutting quite a bit in this area right here. Now, if you're making an appliance where you have to have this anatomical detail, this technique I'm about to show you will not work. Now, if you're making like an Essex retainer to do simple alignment, this will work because when we re-wax here, we can wax it up enough, get it close enough that you can cut the Essex material right down to the gingival margin or just below it, and it ought to work out just fine. Now, before I start cutting, I make a matrix tray out of denture baseplate material, and if you don't know how to do this, I've got a video called Maintaining Vertical. Watch that and it'll show you how to do this. And I do this because if I cut the teeth off and they break off, I don't want them to break off, I want them to stay on the model. I said I was going to cut the teeth off. I'm not really. I'm going to cut it so that the teeth don't come off. Then if they do come off though, I can wax it back up. I can align the teeth and then put it back on this matrix and maintain the vertical dimension. All right, let's cut them. Let's do the cutting. I'm going to use this Fisher burr, and it's got cutting. It can cut on the tip as well as on the side. I'm going to turn my exhaust on, so I'm going to have to talk loudly. I'm going to turn the drill on high, and I'm going to first just drill a hole between the incisors. There'll be 5 holes. Now I'm just going to undermine, come up in between. Get my hand out of the way here. Do the same thing on the lingual. And then I'm going to come underneath and just knock out that plaster that's in between the 2 cuts. So I'm wiping out the interdental papilla on both sides. Now, I'm going to come on the lingual and I'm going to cut, but not all the way through. I'm just going to cut and leave some plaster here so that the teeth don't break off. Now you can see it's cut not all the way through, and I've left some plaster here so it doesn't break off. Now I'm going to mark where I need to cut to go through and meet this other side, and I'm going to do that with a diamond disc. But first I'm going to wax this up. Now I'm going to take a piece of base plate wax. I'm going to cut off a little strip of it. And I'm going to heat it up with a torch. Get it nice and pliable. Then I'm going to put it on the model so that it covers up those slots I just cut. Kind of push it in a little bit. Now this is going to serve as like a dam. Now I'm going to heat up some wax and transfer it over. Take some molten wax and transfer it over into here and fill this area up. It doesn't have to be filled all the way, just get it good and in there. Okay, it's good enough. Now I'm going to let this harden and then we'll take it up from there. Now that it's hardened, I can take the wax off of the front. I can just simply take a knife and just kind of pull it away. You might have to scrape it a little bit, it's not that big a deal. But it pretty much comes loose. Okay, so it's not really well stuck on there. It doesn't have to be. It's stuck on real well there. So right now you can see the dotted line I made, and if I take an instrument like a diamond disc and go in here and cut through there into it, it will meet the cut I made over here, and then the teeth will be set up in wax without having to take the teeth off the model. So let's go make that cut. So I'm going to use a double-sided diamond disc to make the cut along the dotted line. So I'm going to turn the exhaust back on and we'll do that. There we go. So the teeth should be set up in wax, separated except for the plaster that connects the two. So let's get that done. If you're going to do interproximal reduction, now's the time to do it. If you're not, you can just simply take a barred Parker blade. Now I wet the model. It makes it work a lot better. If it's dry, it just doesn't cut as well as this. I can just go in there and cut the rest of that interdental papilla. On both sides. Now this is old school. The new way is to digitally scan and use software to isolate the teeth and move them and then print out a model. But if you don't have that and you're just doing a little minor movement, this technique works well. It worked a long time before digital scans were around, but that is by far the best method. If you don't have that, you're left to doing this. Now what I'm doing here is I'm scoring between the teeth just real lightly, just to make a nice little break point. Now you can take a wax spatula or any number of things, and you can just go in there and just barely put a little pressure on it, and the teeth will break. They will just kind of snap right at the proximal contact. You can hardly see it at all, but they do. So I put a little forward pressure on it too, just kind of a little pressure to make it kind of break. Now once again, I wet this model and it just makes it work a lot better. So now I can warm that wax and I can manipulate those teeth and make my spring aligner. Fill in this wax here, make it nice and pretty, reestablish the interdental papilla if I need to, and that's a real quick and easy way to set up the anterior teeth in wax. All right, that's it. I'll see you again next week.